Hey everybody, welcome back. This is hack number 3 in the 10-day growth hacking challenge. The growth hacking challenge for those joining us is 3 growth hacks in 10 days to 10x your growth. And today we've got AJ with Jibber Jabber. How you doing today, AJ?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome, man. I'm ready to hear your last hack. And for those joining us as well, I just want to point out that AJ is using the growth thinking methodology. This is how he's developing his hacks, and he's had an amazing form of progress, which is quite amazing. In those 10 days, he's actually done a pivot, and I'm going to let him start talking about growth hack number 3 and how he pivoted moving from 1, 2, and 3. Go for it, AJ. Take the floor.
Okay, so with the growth hack 1, obviously was discoverability. It was all focused on my podcast and getting it out there. We figured out how to do that, and we started putting it, all the steps to get that done. And then while doing that, we discovered a pivot for the next one, which was producing other people's podcasts, since I had the studio space and the equipment and that kind of stuff. So even getting a few new bits of equipment, an extra camera and an extra 2 mics, I can now not only have more guests on my episode, but have more equipment available for other people to use as well. Perfect. So that was the really interesting thing that we didn't see coming. And in the space of the last hack already, there's 2 new podcasts that I'm now producing as well as my own.
Yep. So hack number 1 is about discoverability, and we'll talk about that in the next video. But essentially in the last hack, which is so you're extending hack 2 into hack 3. And hack 2 is, I think, what you call the Jabber Media, which is essentially going from a single podcast to a studio. And now you're going to take that studio, and your third growth hack is called
Jabber Media X.
Jabber Media X. I love that. So it's like, it's about scaling. Is that right?
Well, it's about scaling. And also the thing I noticed through our things is, so it was a case of, in the beginning, how do I progress what I have? But then we started to realize all these things as well. Hold on, my cameraman and videographer can also do other things, not just podcasts. So he can also do other things. So we do have, a business there where we can create media for other people. We can deal with their social media. We can also, have him out on shoots and also filming other podcasts there. So I think one of the things that I didn't expect was starting to notice all the things that I already have that I don't need to kind of go out and figure out other stuff. But all these things, that these pivot points, are coming from all the materials I actually have, like the studio and the extra room and the extra equipment and all that stuff. So that was really, really nice to see. So now it's a case of, now that I've noticed that without even trying, I have 2 new ones that I'm doing. Now it's like, okay, how do I turn that into 10?
Exactly. So now that you've got 2 in place, you've upgraded your equipment with minor upgrades. What are you going to do from going from 2 to 10 and then from 10 to 100? How do you see you're going to create your next growth hack to scale exactly that?
I think initially I'm in the stages whether to create another, because I've always wanted to open the media company anyway, so that's going to happen. Yep. But then obviously I think creating other channels for other people to get other people's information and that kind of stuff. So creating new pages for that, for the podcasting and for the, the home podcasting. Because like I said, we have different packages. So for example, if you want just an audio podcast, you can come in the studio and do that. That's one package. If you want audio and video and you have your own editor, that's another one. If you want us to do the whole shebang, the editing and that kind of stuff, that's another package. And then also we've got like a portable setup where some people want to do it from their house. So sure, yeah, we'll come and we'll bring everything to your house. We'll film, we'll record, we'll edit, and all you have to do is just have your content. You know what I mean? So now it's a stage of creating another outlet where people know about that being here now, that's an option.
I think one of the things is, like, you got to lay all these options on and figure out kind of which ones work and which ones don't. And it's not about having like a large menu. I think we talked about this before, like in the McDonald's example, where in every time in the history McDonald's has a large menu, they have been less profitable. And when they shrink their menu back to the basics, their profitability goes through the roof. And I think this is like a discovery thing where you need to figure out where that's going to go exactly. And I think that sounds quite amazing. And I think the other thing about scalability is you got to think of vertical versus horizontal scalability. So what that means is, vertical is like, how do you go deeper with the existing clients you have? So, they may sign up on package A, B, or C, but how do you keep it consistent for 12 months, right? So if you got 2 clients that are consistent for 12 months, you create that consistent revenue through that income stream. How do you take that, reverse that back into the business and reinvest in getting client 3, 4, 5, and all the way up to 10? Because the goal here is, how do we get from client 0, which we've started, all the way to client 10, and you've already 20% through the way. And then from there, because you see, scalability works in phases, right? So it's not like what got you from 0 to 10 is what's going to get you from number 11 to 100. There's going to be growth hacks that are going to change everything. So let's only talk about how to get you from 0 to 10. You're already 20% all the way through. What are you thinking about in a sense of sort of vertical scalability, so going deeper with your client, and how to go horizontally to get more clients in the same way, besides the packages that you've obviously laid out? And I think that's going to be the cornerstone to how you deliver your services.
I mean, how do you feel about word of mouth as well? Because I feel like also the product that we're giving is really good, and the good thing about it is one of the podcasts has gone from just an audio one to a video and audio, and now they're on YouTube. So I think we'll be getting a lot of people now seeing how their people who are watching theirs going, oh, you've changed now, and where did you do that, and how did you do that? And
well, I think one of the growth hacks there is like Hotmail, right? Do you remember Hotmail? So this is called a viral loop, right? And a single viral loop is where essentially, like at the bottom of the video, wherever it's put. So if it's put on a you're spreading it out, or start distributing it through a podcast network like Spreaker.com or whatever it is. You have a license that you're issuing, and at the bottom you say this has been produced by Jibber Jabber Media, and you would do the same on a YouTube video where you're doing the same thing at the bottom, where there's a mention. So it's like the Hotmail thing. It's the single viral loop growth hack. It's an old trick in the book. It works really well. It's to just get visibility through their audience to who you are to get more people, right? I think that's probably one of the ways. What other ways do you think you can hack that?
This is the thing. It's because it's so fresh, and it's something that I didn't expect to happen so quickly. Yeah, I'm in a stage where how do I hack that?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think you're on the right track with the word of mouth thing and how to get more of that. I think one of them is the visibility in all the content. Another potential hack, and of course you have to agree with your clients, is you featuring your clients. So maybe you can take some of the great content that your clients have created and put that into some of your own. So I don't mean like actually owning their content. What I mean is talking about your client, saying client A has made the following content, client B, and that becomes like a remix of content that mixes together. And so what happens is you're kind of stimulating their marketing as well. That could be another way of visibility, but you're still kind of within your audience and network, which is not a bad thing. But ultimately, you want to be tapping into other audiences, right?
Yeah, well, the one other thing that I thought of doing as well is kind of creating a page on the social media which highlights the podcasts in the country, because there isn't a Podcasters of Dubai kind of, place where you can go and see, okay, what's going on with the podcasts in Dubai. So also them coming through and me featuring them on that page will kind of create.
Oh, you mean like a podcaster coming from London who needs a podcast capability in Dubai? You'd be like an outsourced capability, correct?
That, and also everyone who's in Dubai doing podcasts. So creating a community of podcasts.
So how are you going to find these people in Dubai? I mean, let's start there. I mean, we want to get you from 0 to 10 people here, right? 10 clients. How would you find like another 8 to 9 of these guys here locally in Dubai?
I know quite a few of them already.
Okay.
And another way that I thought, somebody mentioned to me that there's a Facebook page where you can, where guests put themselves forward to come on people's podcasts. So for example, we would have all the people like yourself and that will say, hey, I'm available on this day to do this kind of thing if you're looking for. So that's an interesting way of kind of going down that side and figuring out who's doing who and who's doing what. And also I thought a really good way is to share guests with people.
That's brilliant.
Again, the community thing is if people start to see people on 3, 4, 5 different podcasts, then it will start bringing light to the fact that we are a community here and we are strong and everybody is going on each other's podcasts and kind of highlighting each other.
Yeah, agreed. And that means every podcast would have to have their niche very clearly highlighted so that the interview isn't like a repeat. They would maybe, of course, like background and all that, but they'd find different angles and everyone has their own style as well, which is interesting. So I think that's brilliant. I mean, maybe you should be starting your own Facebook group, which is doing exactly that, right? Like bringing in people from other groups, bringing people from your own network and other people who are coming in, and just bring them into a place where you're able to curate all that. I think that probably is a very simple starting point, I think.
Yeah.
Right. So we have two outcomes. There's the one where's the viral loop, right, in all the media that's produced, and the second would be creating a Facebook group that brings in other people from other groups and other sources. I think also don't underestimate WhatsApp groups. They're a lot more linear in nature when you compare to a Facebook, but they're a lot more effective in the way that it lubricates how a network works. You probably experienced that as well. So I would kind of bring that into other networks as well, and use that to promote the content in your network as you move along. I think you also need to explore what are some of the problems that you can resolve, not just the studio and the production, but the biggest one is the promotion side. And if you can find somehow where you create a lot of value on the promotion side to get them more audience, to get them more people to interview, and you become that engine where you're adding even more value in one of the tougher parts of the whole equation, I think that can be extremely valuable.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree. Like for example, one of the things that I was speaking earlier about with one of my friends is that apart from anything, the biggest thing that I'm getting from my own podcast is the community of people that I'm becoming friends with, like yourself and people. 100%. So my phone book now has so many celebrities and people
awesome.
that can't reach these people. So I now kind of have this kind of hub of, okay, well, I can get you in touch with this person, or I could get that person, I can get it over to this person that you're interested in them, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it kind of becomes kind of like a
networking effect.
Networking, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So structure that so you can scale it, right? And I think we talked about this long ago, like, birds with the same feathers flock together. And so if you have like celebrity A, B, C, and D, those celebrities probably know other celebrities. And so how do you tap into them as well so that you're getting even more celebrities and other people? So it's not all about celebrities. I think it's about, really interesting personalities. Like what I really like about podcasts is I get introduced to people I've never heard of before, but are absolutely amazing. Because and that's one of the problems in traditional media, especially in this region. I open up, not to pick on Arabian business, but I open it up and it's the same personalities featured many times over. And I mean, I'd love to hear from them, but I'd like to know what other people are doing, because there's other people in other corners that are disrupting things that you just don't know about. And I think that's what people are really looking for. It's like, hey, I didn't know about this, guy or girl. And I think you got to really mix it up nicely. And I think you already know that without me saying that, I think, right? Yeah.
That was initially one of the things that, I was struggling with in the beginning, because it was like, okay, I want to get big people there so more people can come, their fans and followers. And then after a while, I was like, well, a lot of these big people aren't that interesting. And then I started to get people that I found were interesting, and they would get more views. They were the ones that would actually get the views because the content was better. So it's all about the quality of the content as opposed to how many followers somebody has. Or
absolutely. And all that stuff grows with time. Like it has a compounding effect where it feeds each other. And I've seen that happen many times over. It's almost like when we built some growth hacking strategies and we're looking to work with influencers, where we found the secret sauce is micro influencers. So micro influencers are the small guys that have extremely potent communities where like almost everybody's like interested and engaging and doing things, but they're not huge. But if you accumulate many micro influencers, then you've got one hell of an ecosystem. We were really disappointed with one company where we would bring in people with 1 million plus followers, and the kind of outcomes we were getting, not even close to what you can imagine for somebody with 1 million followers. Just a lot of hot air there. We don't know. I mean, we're not going to pinpoint anything to anyone here, but what we're saying is that when we worked with the micro influencers, we got results. When we worked with the macro influencers, it wasn't, we didn't get our money's worth. Let's put it like that. And brands have been complaining about this left, right, and center. So we'll leave that aside. I mean, I think it's something that you're aware of. I think so. So let's recap. So hack number 3 is Jabber Media X. It's to scale your hack number 2. Hack number 2 was your pivot from being a podcast to becoming a media company, which is helping others produce podcasts. And now you're going to grow. So go for it.
So that's basically it. That's sure that finding these key points that are gonna amplify what I'm actually doing now with Growth Hack 2, and to just really lock down, like you said, which things are working and which things aren't working early on, as opposed to just kind of like offering 1 million things and then and then
so sounds like as you kind of move on, you're going to have to kind of segment each one of these hacks. So one would be like the viral loop, and that's like a single hack in itself, right? Figuring that out. And then the next one would be, what was the second one we said? We talked about, the network, right? So the WhatsApp and the Facebook and all that, that's another hack. And then the third hack, sorry?
Micro-influencers.
Micro-influencers. Yeah, so that's another one. And then the other one was your packages, right? So your packages kind of cut through all of them. But I think like that, you need to hack that as well by figuring out like, okay, so you put as many of these different packages, and you got to have it also like in a modular format. So you might find out that there's, item number 4 in package number 3 is what people are really willing to pay for. How do you extract that and move it to the more popular package? So basically, yeah, it's just being able to figure it out. It's almost like figuring out that ketchup is the most popular ingredient across all the burgers, so you might as well put ketchup on all of them, or make one burger with more ketchup. I don't know. I mean, you need to figure out your own you got to make your own Big Mac there, right?
I think the interesting thing is, the most interesting thing so far is just finding hacks that I didn't even think had anything to do with what I was doing.
Yeah. You started to discover things in the unknown and the unseen, which is where the real growth opportunities are. So I think what we're going to do is, I think we'll close that for hack number 3. And I think in the review, I want to really tap into some of these more macro observations that you've made, some of the learnings, and move on. So as we kind of tune out of this, it's just a quick reminder that this all comes from the Growth Thinking book, which AJ has been using to growth hack for the 10-day growth hacking challenge. It's 3 growth hacks in 10 days to 10x the growth of your business. This is hack number 3. So we've come to the end. Watch us in the next video. We're going to be looking at the sort of the final results of all this, some of the really big learnings, and what AJ is going to do next. So we'll see you in the next video.